Right, hello. Just explaining it was a bending routine that I had done 7/10/2025. Now, if you've never heard of steel bending, which I'm sure most people have in some manner, whether it be by machinery or whatever, but so this is by hand steel bending. Um, so what I did for this routine is I used a 1/4 inch bolts and a 60D nail, and then I used a square bar, and then I also did I twisted a spoon at the end, and I'll talk more about that once I get to it. But so this isn't the same square bar that I used, but it's just for example. This one's plated steel, but I'll explain that more here in a moment. But so first, what I did was I did some bolts. This is a 1/4 inch grade 2, which I believe is probably the weakest grade of bolt, um, which is still decently strong. If you're a beginner to steel bending, I would definitely suggest the grade 2 first. I believe it goes grade 2, grade 5, then grade 8. Um, Now, the grade 8s are normally like a gold color. That's what I've seen, anyways. I'm sure there's possibly different colors, but all the grade 8 bolts I've seen are always like a golden color. So these are grade 2s. Um, and what I did for these, and I'll show it to you here. This is an 8-inch bolt. This is what I started with. This is pretty much the easiest one to begin with, the 8-inch. Once you start getting longer, it starts getting more difficult to start the bend because your arms are further out. So 8 inch is kind of it's pretty long, but it's still doable to get it up to where you need to. If you've never done steel bending, this is an overhand technique. You just grab the bolt where it feels strongest to you. For me, it's kind of about 2 inches in, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and then I just bring it up to my neck, and then you just forcefully. What I do is I focus on bringing my elbows down and kind of trying to bring them into each other. There's more to the technique, but this isn't strictly a technique video, just explaining the routine. So maybe at some point I'll explain the technique, but I believe there are better channels out there probably doing that. So I don't know if I'll do that or not. I just enjoy bending. I'm not a professional or anything like that, but just explaining the routine that I did. And I did use normally the suede wraps that I've seen used are about 8 inches long, and these are about, I don't know what these are. Maybe about, I'm trying to think here. I think they're around 4 inches. Because yeah, it goes so it's about a square. So it's either 4.5 or 5. So anywhere from 4 to 5 probably. But I just say that they're half wraps because what I did was the length that these were, I cut it in half. So I believe they were 8 inches to begin with, but it's close to half. So we'll just say that. But yeah, so my goal here is to be able to bend this fully, which I have bent in the past barehanded. I'm trying to get better at barehand bends. I just believe that that's more because I'm trying to get it to where people understand what's going on, I guess. When you use the wraps, people are like, oh, he's cheating. Why is he doing that? And at the end of the day, I don't really care if people think I'm cheating. It doesn't bother me none. But it's mostly to protect your hands, the wraps are. But I'm more interested in barehand bending. It's just a personal preference. So I'm just trying to toughen my hands up. Even this half wrap adds quite a bit of leverage for the bend. So that's just a personal preference. I choose to use the half wraps. So I figured I'd just explain these. And they're just a suede material. So it's nothing too crazy. It's nothing too stiff. But you can kind of see the thickness of it. And it's just a square basically, cut into a square. So what I do is I wrap it about 1.5 to 2 inches, and these ones have got indentions where I normally wrap them. So this one's got a hole in it, so I should probably retire this one at some point. But the purpose of the wrap is mostly to protect your hands, because trying to bend steel barehanded it's pretty tough on your hands. So yeah, I chose for this routine to not use rubber bands. It just makes the process a little more quicker. It does kind of make it a little bit tougher because the wrap isn't going to be as tight. So just wrapped it like that and then just bent it. So pretty self-explanatory. And you'll see that in the video how I did speed those processes up, because it's just, well, actually, you know what, for this video I may not speed it up. For my shorts I did, obviously, because of the time constraints. But so you can see the process, maybe I just won't at this. You know what, I probably won't. I won't speed that area up. So I take that back. You'll be able to see how I wrap it. It is kind of a boring aspect, so if you find that boring, then maybe I'll speed those processes up. But in the past I have sped those up because it's just a boring aspect of the video. But maybe for this video I won't. I think I'll leave it. But so what I did was I started with this 8-inch bolt, and then I cut it down to 7 inches, 6 inches, and then 5 inches. And naturally, the shorter the bolt gets, the more force it takes to bend it, because you have less leverage, obviously. And then I went to a 60D nail, and it's about 1/4 inch thick. I think it's a little bit more thick than 1/4 inch, but it's close to it. And I should probably move that dumbbell. I keep tripping over it. But no, on the nails, I did, if you can see there, I cut the tip off. Because you run the risk, if you leave the tip on there, you run the risk of it piercing through the wrap. So if you're going to bend nails, I recommend cutting the tip off and rounding it off. Then that way you don't have to worry about it. It's more of a safety aspect. So that's just what I do. It does take time to do that. It's kind of annoying sometimes, especially if you do more than one bend of a nail. You're going to be cutting a lot of the tips off, but it's a good safety tip. This is already kind of a dangerous thing to do, so why add to that danger? And this time it was about a 6-inch nail. These nails are all about 6 inches, the 60D nails. I thought about cutting one off to about maybe 5.5 to 5, but I didn't this routine. And then the last thing that I bent, well, with the wraps anyways, was a square bar. This is just an example here. This is not the same square bar that I bent. This is plated steel, whereas the other one was it was just cold rolled. And that's just how it's made. So you have hot rolled steel. I think that's what it's referred to, hot rolled. And then you have cold rolled. The hot rolled is a little softer, so it does bend a little easier, but it's not, I don't want to say it's easy, because it's not really easy. It's just a different strength. And then this plated steel, I don't know much about this. This is zinc plated, so this was just what was there. This was at the hardware store, so this is what I bought. I don't know if this one's harder or easier. I'm not for sure. I don't know a lot about it. But the square bars are stronger than the round bars, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think I am. I think the square steel is a little bit stronger than the same size of the round bars. So that one was cut off to, I think it was 8 inches. So yeah, it was 8-inch square bar, half wraps once again. And then the last thing I did was a underhand bend, barehand. I don't know if it's possible to do an overhand bend barehand. I get you would have to have extremely tough hands. So I'm not for sure if it's possible to do that. But you can end a bend overhand once it's bent. I have been able to do that. It does still hurt your hands, but it is possible. So most of the barehand bends, well, all of the barehand bends that I do are always underhand. because it's less um, hazardous to your hands, I guess, is the best way to say it. So just once again, same thing. Put your hands in here, and then instead of pushing your elbows down, you're forcing them up. So it's kind of a reverse motion of what you just did with the overhand. So you just kind of focus on fix your elbows in a spot and drive them to each other, if that makes sense. So it's kind of a loop. You're trying to drive them to each other in a fixed loop, I guess. But I'll do a video on the technique later. The technique that I use. Like I said, I'm not a pro. So there are other channels out there that you can find that actually are really good at this hobby. And I suggest checking those channels out. And then the last thing I did was a spoon twist. This was a small spoon. And this is just something fun I like to do, and it toughens my hands up. And I need to stick with it, be more consistent with it, because my hands aren't as tough as they were. So this one here is just, it's more of a toughness thing. So if you're able to just kind of grind through that pain and keep your hand just as tight as possible, you'll be able to do this. It looks very hard, but if you have pretty tough hands, you should be able to do this. Definitely. It's nothing too crazy. So I just kind of do it more to toughen my hands up, and it's kind of neat. And most of the silverware that I have in my home is all twisted. So I guess it's a good conversation piece when people see that and they're like, "What the heck is going on here?" So yeah, that is it. That is all I did for this routine. So I just figured I would explain it before you saw the video. I've never really explained the steel bending, and it's time to do that. I think that helps people understand what I'm doing and what it is exactly. It's just a fun hobby and toughens your hands up. So that's why I choose to do it. So hopefully you found this informational. If you have any questions, comments, or tips, just leave them down below. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.